Howdy, how you do, cousins? It's old Rusty here. I'm just your cousin, and I'm just out here doing what I do, and that's buying and selling stuff to make a profit. I hope that maybe I can teach you something today that could help you out. We're going to go through lots of stuff, jewelry, of course, and other really fun goodies that we found. Maybe we can give you some information. But if you haven't tried it yet, please don't forget to check out some of our other channels. We'll have another video on the What Sold channel coming out today as well. That's where we give you nitty-gritty details about exactly what we sold on eBay and how much money we made off of it. But without further ado, let's get into this stuff today and let's have some fun. Just got back from this estate sale, and I got some goodies here we're going to talk about. I got this box right here, as you can see. This box here, this right here. I've not touched any of this yet. This right here, that little number. And then down here, all this stuff, Coke-related stuff. So it's going to be a first look. Let's go through this and see. I spent right at $215. $215 on everything that I just showed you. Will it be worth it? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. All right, stage one complete. As you can see, I've emptied this out. It has the key. That's nice. I can sell it by itself, right? As a little jewelry box. What you're looking at here is all damaged or super cheap or it's just not worth my time stuff. And then these things here are past the first cursory set of looking through. And I'll do a secondary examination here shortly. But there are a few decent pieces I already know that are going to sell. A couple of rings back here. This brooch, beautiful. Look at that. All the stones intact, very well made. That's a $20 to $30 piece, I believe, right there, which is nice. All right, stage two. This is a box, probably 8 pounds of vintage watches that are damaged or broken or cheap. These pass initial inspection, and so on to this box now. Took me an hour and a half to do my first run. This is the stuff that is, I would say, mostly junk. However, even junk sometimes has value. With old watches, people will harvest the band sometimes if they're gold filled, or just to replace ones that are even more damaged. Because oftentimes, maybe the watch itself, the back is taken off, but the band is still totally functional and and worth reusing, possibly. Sometimes people use, they'll harvest components and they'll fix other watches. They'll use them in artwork or crafting. Then also junk jewelry, broken pieces. They'll harvest rhinestones and things to fix nicer pieces. They'll do all kinds of craft things with them. So this is the kind of thing where I've got a kind of a junky lot here, but I'll throw this up for 10 or 20 bucks. On auction. I'll throw that up for 10 or 20 bucks. Let's say I make $40 off of this. This is the stuff I don't care about, right? I spent $215. So, somewhere like not quite 20%, but, get some of that money back. But this is the stuff, folks, that I'm actually going to go through next, and I think is worth my time. So first off, we got the watches. Several watches, not a lot of great brands. But I do have a couple in here that could possibly be worth something a little bit more to be sold by themselves. The rest of them will be sold in small, similar lots. And then we've got a variety of costume jewelry and some antique jewelry. Got a little bit of silver up in here, some gold-filled items, just some old things, some brooches, some nicer pieces, okay? And then we got this. I mean, this is like a little, you can put your jewelry in it. It's not that old, folks, but, it's in decent condition. Somebody might want that. We got this right here, a little hand mirror. I got to clean off I got to clean off the this crud here, but you know, it's got a look to it. It's older. It's you know, looks like it's hand painted on here. If not, maybe that's just some sort of screen thing, but it's older looking. I don't think it's as old as it's made to look, but I got this little piece of these little napkins. They're looks like they've never been used. They're beautiful. Those, somebody will want those. Got these glasses. We talk about gold-filled glasses all the time, and these are one of the nicer examples that I've come across in a while. You can see the etchwork on the edge of here, on the nose bridge there, underneath, all the way around. They're just delightful. And then underneath here, if you zoom in, I don't know if it's gonna let me do it. Come on, you old puppy. It says B&L, that's Bausch and Lomb, 120 of 12th carat gold filled. So these are gold filled. They come in the original case. And I've not even actually looked at this. This might have advertising on it. Let's see. What do we got here? Ooh. Prescribe for comfort. The soft light lenses. And so good looking. I don't know. I think it depends on the look of the person's head that these are on, how good looking they are. But anyhow, I was excited to get those. And then finally, folks, is this. I need to do some research and find out. I don't think it's terribly old. They are using the flathead screws here, but it's in too nice condition. I think it's probably a little bit newer. The wood looks nice. Even if it is nice, this is definitely the type of thing that you could, you know, just thinking back to my time with Miss Caroline with Title Interiors over there in Wilmington, North Carolina. This is, I don't know, I'm gonna have to give her a ring up, and but I bet she would tell me that this is probably a home run as a thing to have available for sale, because I think people could definitely style. You know, a room. This would be nice, let's say, on a end table near a window or something looking out. Whether they use it or not, I think it just would look nice. So I'm excited about that. Here in a little bit, I'm going to pull all this out. We got a few other things to talk about and look at, but before the end of the video, I'm going to pull all this out. I'll give you some close-ups of the kind of some of the stuff. And if you see something in here, folks, that you think you know something about, that you maybe understand the value of, if you have any recommendations on how to sell it or where to sell it, folks, I'm always trying to learn as well, and I would definitely appreciate your help. All right, so today it's time to take some of the silver we got over the last month that we've not sold yet, and for stuff that is real dingy, which is not this. For example, this is nice and crisp. I don't need to do anything with that. However, we got some of these older pieces that have marcasite. They're kind of dark, and you can see several of these pieces here that are just pretty heavily tarnished. You know what I mean? And so I'm going to get these. I'm going to roll over here to our ultrasonic cleaner. I'm going to drop those in. I mean, you see how this is brighter and those are super dark? Well, we're going to drop all these in, and we're going to see. I mean, this is the beginning. You see how all this is kind of a darker, just some of this is just darker gray and just kind of ugly looking. We're going to make these puppies shine. It's going to look more like this. Let's get started. All right, we got our ultrasonic cleaner here, the Dare Flow. We just need to set the temperature we want, the amount of time. This is a newer one for us, so I'm going to start low, 5 minutes. If that doesn't do the job, another 5 minutes. I'm not going to do it for a long time, just a little bit. Anyhow, you see I got the silver here. I'm going to throw that in here. I haven't filled it with fluid yet, but I got this stuff right here. Just an ultrasonic cleaning solution, so I don't have drips and spills and splatters. I'm going to go ahead and put the silver in there first. Then I'm going to fill it up with water, or not water, the cleaning solution, and then we'll see what kind of results we get. Several things have come in here, you know, this week, and I'm going to go through several things. I got 2 different lots of jewelry, which, you know, is always fun to go through. There was a variety of some newer costume jewelry stuff, but then also thrown in there some of these older items, and this is like an old tintype here, maybe, yeah, daguerreotype possibly. Kind of, you know, not as crisp on the face, but, I mean, this is just thrown in there. That's clearly not jewelry, and it's bent up, but it still has some value on its own. This was very interesting, and I just got done pulling these apart. Now, what you're looking at here is cord, a type of fabric cord that would have run through each of these beads, and these beads are about the most beautiful blue color that I have seen in a while. I mean, just a gorgeous blue. And here's the small beads. This came to me broken, and because of the deterioration of this cord, which was dyed a bluish color to begin with, I believe, so as not to distract from the blue color of the beads, but over time has just changed color. The dye has faded, it has deteriorated. Sun and wear have kind of made that deteriorate, but I pulled these apart because they still have value. What you're looking at here are authentic check glass beads, and they are absolutely gorgeous. These are small, and then we have two larger beads here. I had started putting the smaller ones in here. Two of these kind of like barrel looking, like rounded barrel, and then these two, which, and they're not even the same height. You can see they're two different heights. But there's a couple options here. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to photograph these, and I'm also going to photograph this little pile. As you can see, it was knotted in between every one of these little beads to keep them from scraping on one another. So I had to go through with a little X-Acto knife and cut through and pull them out so that I'm left with the beads. But I'm going to photograph this in case I end up deciding to sell these online. I can show this as a photo, which kind of gives a little bit of verification, I guess, of what I would be saying is true, which is that these are authentic and that they're old, because anyone who has dealt with these kinds of things before will recognize that this is not the type of thread that you can find currently dyed like that looks like that in the United States. And so that's in case I want to sell these. But I think what I'm going to do is I have a cousin who, for fun, will make rosaries. Okay. And she's always looking for beads that are unique or interesting, and you have to have a certain number. There are different sizes that you use in rosaries, and I think it's either 40 or 50 that you have to have of the similar kind, and that's just difficult to find. And I haven't added these up yet. I'm hoping that it's enough. If so, I bet she'd be delighted to utilize these, bring these back to life in kind of a new way. So I got these. I think that they're great. It was worth the time, I believe, because I think I could sell them. But I'm going to first see if my cousin wants them, and if not, then I'll try to sell them. Over here, we have just some more from this lot. Various little brooches. This is, I think it says Tradition or Traditions, something like that. Down here, we have some very nice one. This one I might need to test. It has no mark on it, but it has the look of either being sterling silver with a gold wash or possibly some gold content in it. So I'm gonna test that. We got a pair of copper earrings here, kind of a little Southwest style design. And then we have some more. These are also old. I would say, old Austrian or Czech glass earrings. You can see these would be clip-ons here, and then you've got some tarnish on that wash over that alloy, but these beautiful glass yellow beads there. And then some other newer stuff, old and new mixed in. This is a enamel painted parrot type bird, which is a brooch, as you can see. And then some older pieces. So these are newer, but then you got something like this. And this is like a gold-filled tiny little brooch, definitely antique, as well as this is older. It's not made of a precious metal, but it is older. Here's another one. This is kind of like a Limoges type one where it's hand painted on the top. It says France on it, Limoges, France. And you can see, somebody really got after that with some solder or some stuff on there. Interesting. Here's a little brooch that says Harley Owners Group. Or I say brooch, it's more like a push pin type thing. This is a vintage piece. It's a brooch. It'll be all right. Here's almost like those coins. Those what do they call those? You know what I'm talking about. They're military issued typically, but this is a commissioning ceremony for for a battleship, I guess, the USS Ronald Reagan, which will definitely sell for people who collect stuff like that. Another older piece, a Monet bracelet, a little old vintage push pin here, and then this little thing, which is cool. It's newer, but it's just interesting. It's an articulating fish, enamel painted. You got some hooks up here if you want to hold it like this, but it's also got one here at the mouth if you want to put that as a pendant. And you know, it can move up and down, you know, like a fish would. It's really cool. They're made with these little pins that go from the top down through the middle and out the bottom, and they're bent over. So these are all individual tubes that are kind of made in varying sizes so that it can move like that. I think it's a really cool thing. One common way, and actually the first thing you should do when you have something that you think may be made out of sterling silver or gold, is to take a magnet to it. I know most of you know this already, but I wanted to give you a perfect example of something that comes in and is advertised to be something that it is not. So we've got this bracelet here. It came in with a lot of jewelry I purchased that had both older and newer stuff. It had sterling silver pieces. It had charms that were made out of sterling silver. It had a bracelet that the bracelet was not made of silver, but the charms were. And then we have this piece, which looks, you know, quite nice. If you examine the little ring here and the little post that would be closing this bracelet, you'll find, if I can zoom in, that there are some stamps there, some marks. Do you see that? If you were to zoom in, it would say 925 at one point. So, you know, it gets me excited. Oh, man, this is quite an intricate and nice bracelet that may be made of sterling silver. But let me take a magnet and just see. If it's made of sterling silver, it should not be magnetic. When you put it down, immediately, even the piece that's marked, that's stamped, is it's coming up on this magnet, and in the middle it pulls the whole thing up. Okay, so what we're looking at is a common cheaper alloy. This thing is stamped as something that it is not, and so you always want to do your testing on this stuff, folks, before you just take something and immediately pass it along to sell it, or else you're going to have some trouble because you're going to get people returning things and saying that you're, you know, trying to be sneaky or sell something. It's false advertising. So keep a lookout for that stuff. Sometimes you find things in lots where there is the genuine article, and then other times things like this where it's either not marked or marked incorrectly. I have a decent little lot here of watches that I'm fixing to sell. Right here you got kind of a vintage Elgin wristwatch where it has been put on the band the opposite that normally it is put on. We've got a nice little Seiko chronograph. We've got a couple of Victorinox, which is like Swiss Army brand watches. This one's a little bit larger, probably a men's. And then we have a matching women's one here as well. And this one just says Swiss Military. That's a great little set. Those sell usually pretty well, pretty decently. And then a nice little Citizen watch here. Nothing terribly special. It's probably a decade and a half old, maybe 2 decades old. Some of that gold wash is fading here along the... Come on now, fading along this. So that's, that's a little disappointing, but it still functions. And so if somebody wants a watch, they could always go ahead and replace the band. As you can see, it has worn through this silver coating, and you're looking at just that kind of brass, coppery-ish color on the backside there. Sometimes it makes sense to take the band off of a watch if it looks really bad and it's going to detract from it being something that someone will want to buy. For example, this one, it's pretty heavily worn. It's a pretty cheap band as well. And so I will likely take this band off before I go to sell this, or I will put a new band on it. And I think I have a band that's this width. You would need to measure this portion here, and provided these little posts here are not bent, I can reuse those. If not, I may have some replacements as well. Sometimes I buy these lots that have lots of watches, and they were like a watchmaker's stuff that they use to do work and service watches, and so all kinds of components. I sell that stuff a lot of times, but sometimes I'll hold on to some of the items so that I can do my own very basic repair or replacement before I go to sell things as they come in. Folks, we've had the best time today with you. It was kind of a shorter video, but I hope that maybe you got a couple of ideas there. Good luck treasure hunting, folks. Stay safe, and we will see you next week with another video. Let's go find some